past week, I found myself having conversations about how we as people do not usually give room for people to change, in the sense that we do not necessarily believe that people can change. In as much as it is very true that you cannot change somebody, right? It doesn't cancel out the fact that people actually change, because the truth is people change, but they only change because they want to, not because you want them to, right? So, do people change? Yes. Can you change people? No. You can impact people to cause change in their lives, but it has to start with them wanting it first. So yeah, that's not what I was going to talk about. One thing I've realized is that most times we find it hard to detach who a person used to be and who a person is now, such that when a person is coming to us, we are looking at them through the lens that we used to know them. And I think we all need to learn to give grace to everybody, right? Just like you were not perfect when you were born, you made your mistakes. Just like you were not perfect when you were born, you made your mistakes, and certain people granted you graces, and that's why they allowed you to remain in their lives. You also should grant people graces to remain in your life. Now, because I've said that you should grant people graces doesn't mean that every human being that you know is a threat to your life should stay in your life because you're granting them grace. That's not what I'm saying. First, before you can grant anybody grace, you have to see the person's willingness to be a better person. So if you find that one of your friends, this particular person, is committed to being a better version of themselves, then people like that can be granted graces. But you see people who are so rigid, this is who I am and this is who I'm going to be for the rest of my life. Those are the kind of people where you might be very careful on how you grant them grace. I'm not saying they do not deserve grace, but I'm saying that you need to be careful about it. Because if you give them too much grace and they do not end up like being a better person of themselves, because if you give them too much grace and they are too attached to who they are right now and do not see room for improvement, do not see room for being a better person, you'll be harming yourself in the long run, because at every point they would definitely not find anything that they do as maybe it's not so good, because they found themselves as a perfect standard, and also they begin to judge you based on their standard. So basically what I'm trying to say is people do change, right? But they change when they want to. So grant people grace to give them room to change. When someone says that, oh, I'm working towards being a better person, it's in your place to watch them and take their word for them and not see them through what you have thought of them, right? So sometimes your friends will walk up to you and be like, I want to do better. I really want to do better. But because you already know that because you've had experiences with this person and your mind has already set it that this person will never change, you begin to look at this person through the lens of you will never change. And because you've seen them as somebody who will never change, you will never give them room to be better. And that's not a safe space for them to grow. So while you are expecting other people to grant you grace to be a better person, give them room to be a better person. Does that make sense? Thank you guys. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.